After becoming president, Donald Trump tried to make America great again. But the reality was more like, make America annoy everyone. His main tactic? Imposing tariffs on every country trading with the U.S.
We've made a lot of progress, and as you know, we put a 50% tariff on India.
The Trump administration suddenly slapped huge tariffs on Indian goods, 25% at first, then doubled them to 50%. Why? Because India was still buying oil from Russia, and Trump didn't like India's trade policies.
The United States will implement reciprocal tariffs on other nations.
The goal, from Trump's perspective, was to pressure India into alignment with U.S. strategic and economic interests, potentially making it a more dependent ally. He probably thought, now, India will beg. Now, India will obey. Now, India will become my junior ally. But here's the reality. That 50% tariff didn't push India closer to the U.S. It pushed India closer to China. India-China relations actually improved after the tariffs.
Against U.S. tariffs, writing China will firmly stand with India to uphold the multilateral trading system with the World Trade Organization at its core.
The U.S. sees India as a counterweight to China. That meant Washington expected India to follow its lead. But India doesn't play that way. Since the Cold War, India has followed its own path, working with others on shared interests, but never giving up its freedom to choose.
हमारे लिए अपने किसानों का हित सर्वोच्च प्राथमिकता है। व्यक्तिगत रूप से मुझे बहुत बड़ी कीमत चुकानी पड़ेगी, लेकिन मैं इसके लिए तैयार हूं।
When Trump's advisors said India should start acting like a strategic partner, India made it clear it will do what's best for India, not anyone else. India wants U.S. technology, investment, and friendship, but it will never be a junior ally like Britain or Japan. America prefers allies who are strategically dependent. Japan, fully hosting U.S. bases and aligning with Washington. Israel, backed diplomatically and militarily. South Korea, with U.S. troops on the ground. These countries follow U.S. orders almost completely. India, not even close. The U.S. asked India to cut Russian oil. India increased it tenfold. Asked India to condemn Russia at the UN. India abstained. India openly says, we will do what serves our national interest, not yours. Then there's Russia. The U.S. wanted India to stop buying Russian oil and weapons as punishment for Moscow's war in Ukraine. India said no. In fact, it dramatically increased imports. About 1/3 of India's oil now comes from Russia. It also continued buying fighter jets and defense systems without disruption. While U.S. officials criticized India for funding Putin's war, India pointed out that even the EU and the U.S. import more Russian oil overall. Russia even praised India for sticking with them despite the pressure, calling U.S. tariffs unjustified and unilateral.
Высоко ценим особо привилегированное стратегическое партнерство с Индией. Наши отношения характеризуются.
Trump, frustrated, even called India's economy a dead economy. Why? Because India still bought oil from Russia despite U.S. sanctions. Imagine the frustration. Trump's dream of winning a Nobel Peace Prize by mediating a ceasefire between two nuclear nations, India and Pakistan, was crumbling. And if that wasn't enough, the nightmare continued in the Middle East, where Iran stood fearless against Trump in the Israel-Iran conflict. After imposing a 50% tariff and publicly insulting the world's fastest-growing major economy, India didn't kneel. Instead, India got support from BRICS members. Putin personally called Modi regarding the tariffs. Brazil's Lula reached out because both India and Brazil were now paying the highest tariffs in the world. Iran sided with India, mocking the jealousy of the US, and China quietly improving relations, opening direct flights after years, ready to supplying semiconductors directly, and even sending tunnel miners straight from China instead of Germany. Trump probably thought India would beg, remove the tariffs, and become a junior ally. But here's the truth. The US needs India as a counterweight to China, but India will never be a junior ally like the UK or Japan. And now, China is stepping up. Wang Yi, Chinese foreign minister, visited India for 2 days, August 18th through 19th, increasing diplomatic ties. The very next day, he visited Russia, and Russia welcomed the positive turn in India-China relations. BRICS is actively working against the dollar-dominated world, reminding Trump that being president of the U.S. doesn't make him president of the world. Putin, Modi, Xi Jinping are likely to meet soon in China, with Modi heading to the SCO meet. India still matters a lot to the U.S. Washington wants India as a partner to balance China, protect sea lanes in the Indian Ocean, and share intelligence. U.S. tech and defense companies have invested billions, and India is now the second largest market for U.S. goods. But too much pressure risks undoing decades of partnership. If India drifts away, it could deepen ties with Russia and China. The world can't even afford an India-China alliance.
And if you want to know what would happen if India and China actually become friends, trust me, the world would not look anything like today. Historically, these two have been the richest and most populous civilization, and they even shared a lot of culture. If they team up, it's basically a nightmare for the Western world. Just imagine 36% of world's manpower and 40% of global GDP by PPP. So, if you want me to make a full dedicated video on what happened when these two Asian giants unite, tell me in the comments. And yes, you are listening my real voice for very first time. Should I keep using it in my future video? Let me know in the comments. Till then, see you in the next video. Bye.